Welcome back to the 80s at the Fixed Ops Roundtable. Ken Lohr is with us. He's the Director of Retail Warranty Reimbursement at Belavia Blatt PC, dealerlaw.com, the recognized authority on retail warranty reimbursement. Ken, welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Thanks, Ted. It's great to be here again, and thanks for having me and Len and the firm on your show. We're always happy to participate. And by the way, back to the 80s, I don't have my leisure suit on, but I do have my platform shoes on, but you can't see those. So just want to let you know that.
All right. Well, maybe we can get a photo of those and we'll post it on social media. But I tell you what, Ken, so much happening in your area of expertise. You are the subject matter expert on retail warranty reimbursement. A lot in the news. Len was on the show a little bit earlier, and he talked to us about a lot of the developments. And I'd like you to bring our audience up to speed because there are so many things happening in this area that really affect the dealer and fixed operations, perhaps more than ever, Ken.
Yeah, for sure. And, as all the dealers know, and specifically the ones that are listening today that are on your show, that are listening to your show, they know that the variable side of the business, the grosses are starting to go down. So we're back to the basics in our business. We're back to looking really hard at absorption, at service absorption. So that is what really saves the dealer when we have a down movement on the variable side, for sure. So it's really time to start concentrating on the fixed ops side of the business, looking at your absorption. And of course, one of the ways to do that, the easiest way, is to raise your rates both on the retail side and the warranty side. But there's caveats to that. And most of the folks that are involved in the Fixed Ops Roundtable, they know about retail warranty reimbursement. Everybody here knows what that is. However, there are lots of things that we haven't discussed, some of the nuances of what's happening now that we need to talk about. So it's getting more and more macro, I should say.
And Ken, we at the Fixed Ops Roundtable, most of us, 99% of us, are not attorneys. We're not lawyers. In fact, I know that a lot of the folks who, claim to do some of the things that you do so well at dealerlaw.com, they're not attorneys either. Okay. And, you have an edge, okay, in that you understand the law and you're able to take this the next step on behalf of the dealer as their advocate.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And it's becoming even more critical now that, you have to have a law firm handle these issues for you, because let me just give you an example. I don't know, some of you may have seen some of the latest warranty numbers from the OEMs and what their expenses are. So, for example, traditionally, the OEMs have paid roughly 1.5% of their sales for warranty expense. Oh, that's wow. Risen to 2.5% now. That's the latest report. Wow. Yeah. So, in fact, one of the manufacturers had a very large spike up to 6% because of recalls. So it's becoming more and more of an issue with the OEMs. They're looking harder at it. So there's some things that are driving that cost. One of them, let's be honest, it's going to be retail warranty reimbursement, because all 50 states have statutes now. And most of us have taken advantage of those statutes, and our warranty expenses increased exponentially. So, if you're a cost plus 40% and you apply for an increase for parts at cost plus 80%, their expenses doubled. So on the labor side, especially with our economy and the inflation we've seen in the last couple of years, our retail rates have risen dramatically. So the trajectory of those rates is increased. So, for example, it's not unusual, and you know this, Ted, you'll see a $150 rate go to $200 in 1 year. Mm-hmm. So this is affecting the manufacturers because dealers want that extra increase on the warranty side, and we're submitting for them. So where I'm heading with this is most of the statutes today contain reasonableness language within the statutes, meaning you're entitled to receive retail warranty reimbursement. However, the manufacturer can rebut that rate that you're requesting, not just based on whether you did the submission correctly and followed the statute, but based on reasonableness. So for example, if all the other dealers in your market are at 120 an hour on the warranty side, you're asking for 150. There's a good possibility they're going to rebut that based on reasonableness. And we're seeing more and more of that from the manufacturers. So it's very important that you have a law firm do this, because we handle those rebuttals for our clients. We don't charge them to do that.
So I was going to ask you, if a manufacturer rebuts it, okay, and you're handling the submission for them, typically, not always, but what could the next step be, for the dealer in order to be able to get that amount they're seeking?
Well, we're prepared for that. So we understand that could happen. So we will rebut that rebuttal with data that shows our dealer deserves that. So we also rebut based on the law, our interpretation of the law. So it becomes very important that you have a lawyer on your side to do that. If you don't have an attorney, you cannot do that. You just can't do that. You can try and do that, right? You can write a rebuttal as a non-attorney, but it goes nowhere because you're not an attorney. Plus the fact that you don't have that legal expertise to do that rebuttal. So
and the OEM they have an army of attorneys looking on the other side. So you would be ill-equipped to go up against them.
Absolutely. Every OEM has either in-house counsel or outside counsel. And we deal with them on a as needed basis. We know who they are. They know who we are. So if they're rebutting one of our submissions based on reasonableness, they know that they're going to get a little fight because we're able to handle that. And again, we don't charge our clients any additional fees to do that rebuttal. So if you're dealing with a non-law firm and you're hit with a rebuttal, where do you go? Where do you go with that? You're not going anywhere with that. So you're going to end up accepting whatever it is they offer you. And in a lot of cases, it might be a CPI increase, which you could have gotten anyway. Without that, you could have gotten a CPI increase. So it becomes more and more important that you make sure that you're dealing with a legal firm that can handle your submissions, because it's becoming more of an issue.
Ken, that's a great point. Another one that I think we've talked about in the past, Len brought it up earlier in the show, and I thought it's very relevant, is with all the buy-sells that have been going on in our industry, especially in the last 18 months, Ken. Once a dealer makes an acquisition, has a new store bringing into the fold, and I know we have a lot of fixed ops directors watching today who are now taking on new dealerships, new stores. There's a lot of growth happening in many dealer groups. It's not uncommon for the manufacturer to revert the rate of reimbursement down on service, and I understand definitely on parts, and they won't be able to get what the previous owner did unless they speak up.
That's correct. So to kind of get into that a little bit, most of the dealership buy-sells are asset sales. In other words, if I'm looking to buy your store, Ted, I'm not buying the corporation or the entity. I'm buying your assets. So 95% or more of the transactions, the buy-sells, are asset sales, which means there's a new owner, there's a new entity. If you buy the entity, then that's not an issue, but that doesn't happen very often. So being that you're a new dealer, new entity, the manufacturer has the opportunity to start you off as a new dealer, and they're going to establish your labor rate at whatever they feel the market is, whatever that is, and they're going to take you back to the national reimbursement rate on parts. And in most cases, that's cost plus 40%. So if the previous dealer's financial statement, right, has a net profit of X, it includes that increase, right? So now you're going into the deal with less net that you paid for. You paid for that in blue sky. Think about that. So now you're at a distinct disadvantage because now the manufacturer reverted you to cost plus 40% and you lost 50% of your warranty parts gross, and put a number on the labor side, whatever that is, it's significant. So that's something that many dealers aren't even aware of. They go through the buy sell. They don't even understand that they were reverted back to cost plus 40%.
And
They
Ken,
don't
I
even see
imagine
that.
there's not a nice letter that's sent out from the OEM that just reminds the dealer that they no longer get the previous dealer's rate. It's really up to the dealer and the service director to discover that, and they may not discover that right away. A couple of months might go by, and a lot of money slips through their hands.
That's right. That's exactly right. You're right. There's no courtesy letter that says, "Hey, Mr. New Dealer, we just put you back to 40%." None of that happens. You're correct.
Okay.
So we do a lot of buy sell transactions, and for the most part, as you described, most of those dealers aren't aware of that. So that's something that all the viewers need to be aware of. Buy sells, which are happening more and more. There's been a lot of transactions in 2022, and I think all the buy sell folks in the industry are predicting even more in 2023. So that's something to be aware of. If you have a new store, let us look at your rates. We're happy to do that. We don't charge you to do that. Let us do it, and we'll make the determination of what you're entitled to and what you can go after. So that's very important. Great point, Ted.
Ken, why should retail warranty reimbursement be at the top of the list of a fixed ops director overseeing one store, multiple stores? Why is that so important right now with all the things that are happening in our industry and where we're headed here for the balance of 2023 and beyond?
Well, I think the most obvious is our expenses are rising, especially personnel expenses. So, our two biggest expenses